Oh, folks, today has been just a crazy day. It started last night. Bedtime was a mess. You would have thought that someone gave my children pure corn syrup laced with red dye and chased with Mountain Dew. It was awful. Um, and this morning I've just been really slow going. I woke up and it was chilly and it's frosty outside. And I just did not want to get out of bed. And I certainly did not want to get out of my warm, fleecy jammies to start our day. And part of me said, "Oh, well, we could skip the morning," but I can't get into that. I can't. I really can't. But free coffee Friday at Cumberland Farms for those of my lovely neighbors here in the northern part of the state. We know what Cumberland Farms is, and they do free coffee Friday. And so every Friday, you can get as many free coffees as you want. Maybe don't go to the same location throughout the day, but a dear friend from church stopped by this morning because she knew that I wasn't going to be getting out before my husband left for work. So early this morning on her way to work, she stopped by with one of these lovely foamy, hot, sugary beverages. And that really did make my day. But let's talk about what we're here to talk about. Horizons. Week 5. Week 5 for Horizons Preschool. And I can't believe in one sense that we are 5 weeks in. I just can't. I feel like in some senses it feels like we were just beginning, but then it feels so comfortable that it feels kind of like an old friend that's been with you for a while. So, we are continuing to push through and modifying activities as we need to. Sometimes it's because I don't like the activity, or sometimes I just think, hey, if we did it this way, that would be really fun. Sorry, I'm flipping through my page. I'm not organized today. So one of the activities in particular was reinforcing the number 5. And they were showing you're supposed to trace that with your finger. But he traces it with a pencil. Then it's tracing counting the fish and tracing the number, counting the flies and tracing the number. This one here was color the hat and put dots in it and dot it out with a marker or a crayon. I thought it would be really fun to use up those tiny little stickers that I got off of eBay that were super tiny, about the size of a pencil eraser. And he doesn't like to color. That's one of the things that he really doesn't like to do. So he counted out the stickers, chose the colors that he wanted, chose the placement, and I said, you've got to plan it out because they can't overlap. They can't go outside of the border. You've got to be really attentive when you're doing your sticker placement. And so he worked really hard at that, and I could see him trying really hard to make sure he placed all of the stickers where they needed to be. Another activity that we modified was another one that had coloring in it. He does not like to color, and I'm not shy about that fact. So this was identify the shape of the balls, circle. Then it says there are blank circles, and he counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so he wrote 5 up there. It looks kind of like an S, but hey, for this early in, not bad. And then instead of coloring them, he wrote 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in each of the balls with a highlighter. And he loves to use highlighters and markers. And provided there's nothing on the back, we let him do that. Another activity that he loves these like maze type activities. And he chose a yellow crayon to match her dress. And then this one here, tracing the letter G, identifying the objects, goat and goose and gull, and gorilla and grasshopper. And then I've mentioned before, but the curriculum is saying getting them to trace the first two letters of their name, that you would be dotting out those first two letters. So he'd be dotting out the AA and I'd be filling in the RON. He's been writing his own name. I'm quite happy with that. And that's something that, should he end up going to public kindergarten in the fall, during kindergarten roundup, he needs to be able to write his name in uppercase and lowercase letters, one uppercase letter and then the rest in lowercase, or he'll have to go to summer school prior to kindergarten. We live in a state and in a school district that's very specific, we'll say. And I had a friend whose daughter went to kindergarten roundup, wrote her name in all capital letters, and they sent her to summer school, and that would be really defeating. So it really put a damper on her beginning education. So we don't want that. So we're letting him work at that. Because this week the letter was G, we did this activity. I printed this offline, and because I have a lefty, left-handed writers need to learn how to write in a way and print in a way that's going to fit with how their brain works. The research out there now is saying, most are going to say go around and over, but not all left-handed people are going to be able to process that way. So let them develop a way of writing that's going to help them be able to follow that through, and don't worry so much about the typical start mark of a letter. So he likes to go from there, go over and around, versus going around and over. And that's okay. So he's learning and he's trying a few different ways. He tried a few different ways of writing the letter G before he, to see which way is going to be best and which way is going to be neatest. And then he did his lowercase g's, which I think he's really got those down fairly well. Again, for being 5 weeks in. We've talked in other videos about wanting to maybe switch out our curriculum. I'm finding the problem with that is, while it's slow going in the pre-reading skills and the penmanship and the writing, it's a lot of tracing, but that doesn't even happen until later on. It's moving rapidly near the end in the numbered department. So by lesson 87, you're doing beginning addition. You're also, so count the items and say the addition problem, trace the numbers and say the addition problem again. 1 anteater. 2 plus 1 anteater equals 2. And then you trace 1 plus 1 equals 2. 1 buffalo plus 1 buffalo equals 2 buffaloes. 1 plus 1 equals 2. So it's drill. It's addition drill at 4 years old, which I may be behind the times, but when I was 4, I was not doing addition drills. We did not do addition drills until 1st grade, but I know everything has changed. Yes, I know. But then they're also working on telling time, beginning telling time. The o'clocks, 3 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and then so forth and so on. But in the same page, we're tracing the letter B, which he's already been doing. We did the letter B like week 2, and he was tracing the letter B. So that's kind of hard because I don't want to ditch the curriculum and have him miss. Should we stay with Horizons in kindergarten? I don't want him to miss that kind of foundational of the telling time and the basic addition and subtraction in the math component, but he's not really going fast enough for his abilities in the writing. So I did talk with Jesso Trish. She has been very gracious in texting back and forth or instant messaging back and forth with me, and she suggested buying the first 5 light units of Christian Light Education and pulling that in, and not doing that all in like the length of time it says you should, but trying to stretch that out over this year and into next year even, but getting those first few books those first few light units and getting him started on those if that's where he's excelling. So we are going to look into that. I've also looked into ABCs with ACE and Christi. We would need to do the diagnostic testing for that you purchase through ACE. And we've also been looking at getting some used curriculum from Abeka, but I can't seem to find a kit online that's used that is going to be what we need. It seems to all be disjointed, and we'd end up with 2 of some and none of the others. So talk to me in a comment about what you guys are using for phonics and learning to read. Let me know if you like it or what you've used in the past, if your kids are past that, and how you felt about that. So comment below and let me know what you're doing. And thanks so much for watching. Okay, bye-bye.